Shines, we are back with another session. In our last session, we talked about the box model and we went over all the components of the box model. And it looks like now we're still going to continue talking about it. So, let's go ahead and take a look here at our Codecademy. It says, why change the box model? The last lesson focused on the most important aspects of the box model: box dimensions, borders, padding, and margin. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me exit out of all of this real quick. Okay. The box model, however, has an awkward limitation regarding box dimensions. This limitation is best illustrated with an example. So here's our hello world element with our CSS. In the example above, a headings element box has a solid black 1 pixel thick borders. The height of the box is 200 pixels. See here, 200 pixels, while the width of the box is 300 pixels. Right here, 300 pixels. A padding of 10 pixels has also been set on all 4 sides of the box's content, as we can see here. Unfortunately, under the current box model, the border thickness and padding will affect the dimensions of the box. The 10 pixels of padding increases the height of the box to 210 pixels and the width to 320 pixels. Let's take it back a little bit because I'm not understanding that. It says the 10 pixels of padding increases the height of the box to 220 pixels. I just don't understand how we went from 10 pixels to 220. Like it would make sense if it was 210 pixels, but I'm not understanding how it's not 210, it's 220. But we'll see. So the width is also 320 pixels, so that went up 20 pixels as well. Then next, the 1 pixel thick border increases the height to 222 pixels and the width to 322 pixels. Okay, under this box model, the border thickness and padding are added to the overall dimensions of the box. This makes it difficult to accurately size a box. Over time, this can also make all the web pages content difficult to position and manage. In this brief lesson, you'll learn how to use a different technique that avoids this problem altogether. Is the padding necessary? That's my first question. All right. Click on toggle below to reveal a symbol. Okay. Nothing's happening. Let's go ahead and go next. The box model, the content box. Many properties in CSS have a default value and don't have to be explicitly set in the style sheet. For example, the default font weight of text is normal, but this property value pair is not typically specified in a style sheet. The same can be said about the box model that browsers assume. In CSS, the box sizing property controls the type of box model the browser should use when interpreting a web page. The default value of this property is content box. This is the same box model that is affected by border thickness and padding. We're just gonna open that up. And we're gonna keep this for reference because, yeah, we're gonna keep this for reference. All right, set a diagram on the right. It illustrates the default box model used by the browser. content box. When you're done, continue to the next exercise. Alright, so it's the left border. The padding is right outside of the content and right inside of the border. Okay, so width plus padding. Oh, okay. Now I understand how the padding went from 200 to 220 because on both the left and right side of the content, it's 10 pixels of padding. So we're adding the left and the right side. That's my assumption. Okay, we're going to go with that. Next. Wow. So fortunately, we can reset the entire box model and specify a new one using border dash box. The code in the example above resets the box model to border box for all HTML elements. This new box model avoids the dimensional issues that exist in the former box model you learned about. In this box model, the height and width of the box remain fixed. The border thickness and padding will be included inside the box, which means the overall dimensions of the box do not change. Nice. So in this example above, the height of the box will remain at 150 pixels and the width would remain at 200 pixels. The border thickness and padding would remain entirely inside the box. All right, so when we set the box sizing to border box, then the border thickness and padding will remain entirely inside the box. Okay. Total width. So here, the width property is the same as the actual rendered width of the element. The content area is automatically sized based on the remaining width after border and padding has been subtracted. Okay, next. The new box model. So now that we know about the new box model, let's actually implement it in the browser. Here is an example. It says it's that simple. In the example above, the universal selector targets all elements on the web page and sets their box model to the border box model. All right, now we're going to put this to use here. So in the style.css file, we're going to change the box model for all elements on the web page to the new box model. You'll probably or you probably didn't see a difference in the web page to the right. That's okay. The new box model simply makes sure that the dimensions of the elements remain the same, regardless of border width and padding. All right, we can do that. So we're going to scroll down and see if there's a universal selector. And it appears there's not. I think we could just go ahead and copy this example because I think this is exactly what they're asking of us. Change the box model for all elements on the web page. For all elements on the web page, we use that universal selector and then to the new box model. That looks good to me. Let's run it. Beautiful. Next. All right, review. So that was quick. Just to wrap this up, in this lesson, we learned about an important limitation of the default box model, in that box dimensions are affected by border thickness and padding. So in total, we learned that in the default box model, box dimensions are affected by border thickness and padding, that the box sizing property controls the box model by using the browser. The default value of the box sizing property is content box. The value of the new box model is border box, and the border box model is not affected, by border thickness or padding. Nice. All right, so we're just going to move on. Next. All right, let's see if we have a quiz or anything. Next. All right, so which of the following will set the top and bottom margins to 15 pixels and the left and right margins to 30 pixels? Now, I remember this is the two value. This is the two value one. So we're just going to have whichever one has two values. The first value being top and bottom. I almost feel like the first value is left and right. Is this a trick question? Okay, so we know that the four values would go top, right, bottom, left. And the three values would go top, left, right, bottom. So the second value would have to go top and bottom, left and right. All right, so top and bottom would be 15. Okay, see, that wasn't that hard. Next, which of the following properties controls how to display content that is too large for its container? Overflow. Next. Which of the following will set the vertical padding to 20 pixels and horizontal padding to 40 pixels? Same concept. So vertical padding would be top and bottom, horizontal padding would be left and right. So top and bottom go first with 20 pixels here, left and right go second. This one. Yes. Next. What property affects the space between the border of an element and its surrounding elements? What property affects the space between the border of an element and its surrounding elements? I feel like it's margin. Let's reference. Okay, the space surrounding the border is the margin. Yes, beautiful. Which of the following is not a part of the CSS box model? Div, the division tag. That is HTML. Next. Which property should fill the blank in the following CSS code snippet? Border, because they're talking about solid and red and 2 pixel thickness. I'm going to go with border. Beautiful. Next, assuming the dot box element below is the only element on the page, what is the total height calculated by using the given CSS properties? Oh, they're trying to get me with this one. Okay, it's the only element on the page. Excuse me. Excuse me. What is the total height calculated by using the given CSS properties? So we know that the border is 1 pixel. The border is 1 pixel to the left and 1 pixel to the right. So that's 2 pixels. Then we know that the padding is 10 pixels. So that's 10 pixels to the left, 10 pixels to the right. So now we are sitting at 2 plus 1. 2 pixels plus 20 pixels, that's 22. And then our height is 125 pixels. Let's go here. Our height is 125 plus 22. What's that? 159. That's not an option. Well, the closest is 156. Did I do the math wrong? I did the math wrong. Was it 22 plus 125? That should have been 147. What was 147? There we go. I don't know where I got 159 from that first time. Next. Which of the following accurately explains the CSS code below? The div headline elements will have a width of 300 pixels and no margins. The div.headline elements will have a width of 300 pixels and be horizontally and vertically centered on the page. like that one. The div headline elements will have a width of 300 pixels, a vertical margin of 0, and will be horizontally centered within their parent container. And then the div dot headline elements will have a width of 300 pixels, horizontal margin of 0, and be vertically centered within their parent container. So vertical top and bottom goes first. So it cannot be D and it cannot be A. Vertical margin of 0. I feel like it's B, but if it's not B, then it's C. So let's give it a try. Darn! It's C. Okay, that's fine. Next, which of the following will set the right padding to 10 pixels, bottom padding to 15 pixels, left to 20 pixels, and top to 25? So we're going to start at 25. Right is going to be 10. So far, it could be between B and C. And then we're going to do bottom is 15. It's C. Next. What is the name of the space between the content container and the border? It's padding. Border, it goes margin, border, padding, content. 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 Say that 5 times fast. Next. Which of the following CSS properties controls the size of an element's content? The size of an element's content. I don't think padding. I think height and width. The size of an element's content. The content, the padding and the margin are outside the content. The border and the padding outside the content. The height is the height and the width. Yes. Next. In the sample code below, the element with ID 1 is directly above the element with ID 2 in the HTML document. How much space is between the border element of 1 and the border element of 2? So since it's vertical, because they're talking about above, then we're going to take the margin of the larger one. We're not going to add them together. So it's going to be 30 pixels. What's the explanation, Codecademy? The vertical margins of these two elements will not add together, but will collapse to the larger value of the two, 30 pixels. That's right. Next. And there we have it. We got an A. And that one tripped us up. Here, which of the following accurately explains the CSS code below? I had an inkling it was C, but I went with my first choice, which was B, and that was not correct, but that's okay. All right, let's continue learning. We got some points, some cool points. Coolio. Continue. Okay, I think we're going to save this portion for our next session. And we're going to wrap it up here. So thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, sunshines, see you later.